welcome back, and today my lab partner and I would like to talk to you about lichens and air pollution. So lichens are really wonderful barometers of air pollution, and you can find out the quality of your air simply by doing an inventory on lichens, and I hope to show you how to do that in this video. So let's just go over a little bit. I'm learning a lot from this website. It is the U.S. Forest Service National Lichens and Air Quality Database. The more you dig on here, the more you will find, so I highly recommend looking at this. So let's just look a little bit how these lichens are categorized when it comes to air pollution. There are oligotrophs, mesotrophs, and eutrophs, and we'll just go over that a little bit. So oligotrophs are organisms that need few amounts of nutrition to live. These are not just specific to lichens. You will see eutrophs, and you will see these related to other organisms as well. And a little bit of background on the Greek. So for instance, oligotroph would be few and food. As you remember, hoi polloi, polloi meaning many. Well, oligoi means few. That's where you get oligarchs and so forth. And trophe means food. So it makes perfect sense once you know that this means few food. And it's not just that they can survive in places with little bits of nutrition. They actually need that. They do not do well when there's too much of these molecules in nutrition, and that's why this is in relation specifically to nitrogen. So oligotroph lichens need under 2.5 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare per year. And a good example of an oligotroph is Usnea. Usnea simply does not grow very well with an overabundance of nitrogen. It just simply doesn't. So if you're in a heavily polluted area, you will not find these unless they're very small. They might be on transplant trees, but you're just not going to see them. And certainly something like the long ones, Usnea longissima, you will not find those. Mesotrophs, meso means middle in Greek, so these are intermediates, and they need 2.5 to 4.5 kilograms of nitrogen per hectare per year. And then eutrophs need above 4.5. And eu, the diphthong eu in Greek, means good or well, meaning that they do best in a good environment with lots and lots of nutrition. So these are lichens that thrive when there is excessive nitrogen. So for instance, green shield is one that thrives. So by charting these, you can see how polluted your area is, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. I do want to point out that it's not just nitrogen. There are many others. There's heavy metals, there's fluoride, and a lot of other chemicals and molecules that affect lichens, but I'm just going to do sulfur dioxide because you'll often see this one listed as well. This kind of, they'll have charts of the sensitivity. So if it says sensitive, 5 to 15 parts per billion of sulfur dioxide a year is a very sensitive lichen and cannot do well over that. Intermediate can survive in 16 to 30 parts per billion of sulfur dioxide a year, and tolerant can have above 30 parts per billion of sulfur dioxide a year. You will see this with acid, you will see this with acid rain, acid fog. There's so many different ways that you can measure lichens, but these are kind of what you'll see in a lot of the charts, specifically with the ones will be on this as well, on this website. So here's how you do it. You plot a 35-meter diameter. So you make a circle around the polluted area or the area that you want to test. And for 2 hours, you look for different lichens. Specifically look for indicator eutrophs. Eutrophs are really a good indicator. So, for instance, I live in a very heavily polluted area. It was not before. It was a pretty pristine area. Then there was a heavy industry presence for a significant period of time, which caused ecological disaster, truly. And so we really lost a lot of species, not just of lichen. So right now we see a lot of this green shield. Green shield is everywhere, and this is an indicator eutroph in my area. Try to find databases in your area, in your region, so you can see what an indicator lichen is, especially indicator eutrophs and indicator oligotrophs. They don't say that crustose are as important when you're doing this plotting. You want to do foliose and fruticose, and just kind of leave crustose where they are at the moment. So again, look for your indicator eutrophs and lack of indicator oligotrophs. And if you have a whole bunch of oligotrophs, you're very, very lucky. Again, make sure they're not on transplant trays. So chart them out and write down how many you have. If you find 100 green shields, put that down, 100 green shields. So like, let's say that I'm right next to the industry and I find, 300 of these. Then I plot that out, and let's say that I don't find any of these, 0. So I put 0. Then what I do is I move out. I go out as far as I think I need to go and do it again. And keep doing this. It may take a long period of time until you start to find more indicator oligotrophs, even mesotrophs. And so then when you start to find these growing, maybe even bigger and maybe even longer, then you're getting into a more healthy area for lichens, and when there's more species that you're finding. So you just keep doing this, and you go out further and further until you actually see, and keep details of how far you had to go out, how many ones you find, and also be very careful that when you're looking at a branch, so you might be thinking, oh, there's Usnea, yay, but also chart the other ones that are on here. So you might see some green shield or ruffle or fuchsia, whatever you're finding, chart them as well. Don't forget everything else in the branch. And keep doing that until even the green shield, you might find other ones on there. We're finding some chrysothrix and some dust lichens in the polluted area as well. Mostly it is definitely green shield. And take pictures of them so you can see if they're really dark and looking really black from the pollution, that you can chart that as well. So I'd love to know how you are able to do this, and I'll post what I find, and together we will assess the air quality in our areas. Thanks for watching.